Fala, turma, eu tô aqui com uma lenda do montanhismo, Dave Hahn. Esse cara subiu o Everest, se eu não me engano, mais de 20 vezes. E não só o Everest, né? Os maiores picos do mundo, esse cara já foi, já guiou, já subiu, já venceu. Ele é uma das grandes referências também porque durante o último grande terremoto que teve lá no Nepal, ele tava em cima do Everest, teve que não só ajudar ali no resgate, como voltou ali pra baixo, em Katmandu, e também coordenou boa parte do resgate lá. Inclusive tem um documentário Netflix chamado Aftershock, que ele é um dos protagonistas falando do processo ali de ajuda, né, de tentar recuperar vidas naquele momento tão duro. Quando eu converso com esse tipo de pessoa, o que eu gosto de entender é qual é a cabeça desses caras, como é que eles pensam situações. Então eu preparei algumas perguntas pro Dave que eu acho que vai ter um momento, insight importante pra gente agora. Dave, thank you for being here. I mean, the idea here is to try to understand how do you think situations, rough situations, how is your mindset facing this kind of problem that you usually faced in the last couple decades of your life? So, first question would be, you summit Everest more time than almost everyone alive, right? Over 20 times.
No. I tried to summit Everest 21 times, but I only made the top 15.
Only 15? That's almost nothing. Oh my God, only 15. All right.
I failed miserably 6 times.
Okay, that's too bad. Huh? Okay. Dude, what has the mountain taught you about leadership and when lives, not just goals, are on the line? I mean, we were responsible for many lives, not only yours. What these failed moments taught you, and when did you draw the line between going forward or going back?
You know, Everest, for many of us, is such a big deal. You know, the trips are 8 to 10 weeks long. The cost and effort, the risk, it turns it into a really big deal. But of course, I learned on Everest, you have to use what you've learned on the mountains where it wasn't such a big deal, where there wasn't so much money involved. It's the same lessons. And yeah, we each decide, are you in it to make one big statement or are you in it for a lifetime? And even on Everest, I mean, you can get this view that only this trip matters and only this climb matters, but really you have to take the longer view that the rest of my life matters and what I owe to other people still matters. This isn't the only trip to Everest. You know, for me, it became about being there year after year, and to do that, I had to play by the rules.
But I mean, as an entrepreneur, for example, there are moments that I have to give up of projects, but I try really hard not to do it. But I know certain times because of the economics that I should give up because the margins are not good, because the project is not, getting traction. How do you decide to give up of the summit? I mean, you are almost there and you say, guys, we're not gonna summit this time, we're gonna come back. How do you decide which indicators shows you that it's time to give up?
I had the luxury of being there not as a business owner and only as a guide. And so while I was aware of how much money was involved, I was able to make my decisions based just on safety and whether I thought we could get through with a reasonable amount of risk or not. Yeah, I turned around just 100 meters from the summit before.
Seriously?
Yeah, with clients, and I think we did the right thing.
Yeah, you're alive, right?
Well, we ended up in a hard storm on the way down, and had we got on that last 100 meters, which, is not an insignificant bit of mountain up there. It's got the Hillary step in it and everything. Then we would have been absolutely fighting for our lives in that storm. So yeah, like I say, when I had to make decisions about going on or turning around, it was a relief to me. I was never thinking about dollars. I was just thinking about what my capabilities are and trying not to exceed my own capabilities.
Amazing. In every expedition, there is a moment when everything seems to fall apart. What mindset actually keeps you moving forward, and when most would you give up?
I think I had an ability to keep my eyes on the prize. I'd go on those trips expecting it to be difficult, but able to look toward what the goal was. And that was hard on such a long trip. Often people would show up as if they were there for one event, as if they were there for a sprinting race. And through my experience on other mountains and the experience I built up on Everest, I knew it wasn't going to be about one day in April or early May. It was going to be about summit day in middle of May, late May. In other words, I knew it was a marathon and not a sprint. So
that's wonderful, man.
You couldn't climb Everest if you didn't give it everything and use all your energy at some point, but you had to be smart about when is that point.
That makes total sense for me. And I can transfer this to my life easily. So Dave, after so many life-threatening situations, how has your definition of success evolved? And what advice would you give to someone chasing the top?
Well, chasing the top is important. You have to be motivated. Nobody can talk you into climbing your Everest. You either have that desire, that motivation, or you don't. But you want people to be careful. I can remember when I was younger and I thought, climbing Everest will change everything. And I'm glad I was wrong about that. I'm glad that climbing Everest just ended up being a part of, I think for me, it wasn't about one time. It was about living in the mountains.
The journey, right?
I was lucky enough to have a career on Mount Everest
Yes.
instead of a climb on Mount Everest. But that ended up meaning much more to me than I thought, as a lot of people do. Okay, if I can climb Everest, it will make everything else easy. And no, it doesn't do that. But sometimes it can give you the knowledge about yourself. It'll help you tackle other hard problems in life.
That makes totally sense for me. Sometimes I see most of the entrepreneurs that I know, when I exit my company, when I IPO my company, all my problems are going to be solved. It's not, man. It's about the journey, right?
Yeah, well, you go on.
Yes. You're an amazing human being. I'm a big fan. I'm very, very glad to be here with you this week. I learned a lot with your presentation, your slideshow yesterday. Thank you for having this time to get your time to teach those entrepreneurs about this mindset of getting on the top, but in the right way.
Thank you, Tal.
Thank you. Turma, vocês viram esse papo do Dave Hahn ali, cara, que é muito sobre a jornada, né? Muitas vezes a gente tá focado já, quando eu vender a companhia, quando eu fizer um IPO, quando eu me pagar 100 milhões de dividendo por ano, ou seja, o teu topo, cada pessoa tem um topo diferente. O topo dele era o Everest, que ele tentou 21 vezes e fez 15 vezes, né? Inclusive um cara muito humble, né? Muito humilde, né? Falou, não, eu não fiz dezenas de vezes, eu fiz 15, eu tentei 21. É um cara muito humilde, né? Acho que você tem que definir qual é o seu topo, cara. Você tem que ter uma visão. Qual que é o teu topo? Qual que é o teu Everest que você vai escalar? E entender que, cara, o que mais importa é a jornada e o pensamento de longo prazo. Entender que é o seguinte, cara, não é sobre chegar só no topo, é sobre continuamente conseguir fazer outros topos, né? E não definir a tua vida só em um exit, em um IPO, em um pagamento de dividendo, né? Fazer a jornada ser importante, né? Isso é um baita feedback aqui que a gente pode ter como empreendedores, né? E um grande learning que eu tive convivendo com o Dave Hahn.